This is the Barbados Today evening news for Wednesday, November 22nd. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary-Claire Williams. A male student of the Ellerslie Secondary School is nursing serious injuries this evening following an altercation with another student. Police say the incident occurred shortly before midday in the canteen during the school's lunch break. The 17-year-old sustained several lacerations from a cutlass to his right hand, which resulted in one of his fingers being severed and another partially severed. He was taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital for treatment. Police and emergency personnel were this afternoon called into the Luther Thorne Memorial Primary School after several teachers and students complained of respiratory discomfort. It was caused by fumes from a nearby fire. 7 of them were taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by ambulance, while 17 were treated on the scene by Medical Director Dr. David Bayer. 4 others were referred to the polyclinic for medical attention. Parents were also called in to pick up their children earlier than scheduled as a result of the complaints. Officials at the Grantley Adams International Airport had to seek additional manpower this morning after fire officers at the fire station there called in sick. Barbados Today understands that officers were pulled from other fire stations in a last-minute effort to ensure that the necessary emergency service personnel were present at the airport. According to reports, 8 officers were scheduled to work the morning shift, but most of them did not show up. A representative of the Barbados Fire Service Association confirmed that a number of officers had in fact reported sick. A well-placed source says they are not happy with conditions at the facility and they feel that constant calls for redress are falling on deaf ears. In other news this evening, Barbadians will soon know the findings of an investigation conducted by the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament into the operations of the National Housing Corporation. Chair of the committee, Opposition Leader Mia Motley, told the monthly business luncheon of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry this afternoon that the body is now examining the evidence. Motley had promised to investigate all contracts and projects awarded by the NHC between December 2008 and August 2010. Her announcement followed the sacking of the former chair, Marilyn Rice Bowen, who had questioned the awards process. Motley said the Public Accounts Committee has so far gathered piles of evidence.
The Public Accounts Committee has been working. There have been over 40-something meetings that we've had. In 48 meetings, Kerry is signaling to me. But in addition to that, we have evidence that is about 4 foot high on the National Housing Corporation, and a report will come out at some point, very shortly. We're going through the evidence now. The structure of the PAC requires far more support than it currently has. And it's the structure of Parliament as well, because you can't do these things on a part-time, voluntary basis and expect to make progress. And that's part of the difficulty.
The Barbados Agricultural Development and Marketing Corporation says it has lost more than $5 million in revenue this year. The CEO, Sean Tudor, says that's because the corporation was unable to secure the $500,000 required to operate its cassava mill.
I don't have money, but I have access to money, and therefore I'd be willing to assist in the funding for the installation of the equipment. In addition to that, just to say that overall we're interested in the value-added program for the cassava. I think there are wonderful opportunities to enhance the work and to elaborate it, and also pledge to offer further support to set it on a path for entrepreneurial development.
Tudor was addressing the official launch of the BADMC's crop value chain services this morning.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back with news from the region. Dominica's Ministry of Health is reporting that an unusual virus has been detected on the island, and officials say they are awaiting confirmation of preliminary tests at the U.S. Center for Disease Control for what is suspected to be hantavirus. The ministry says it is not spread from person to person, but by rodents. And finally, Zimbabwe's new leader told supporters in Harare today that the country is entering a new stage of democracy following Robert Mugabe's removal as president. Emerson Mnangagwa returned to the country today after fleeing 2 weeks ago, and he will be sworn in as president tomorrow. We get more in this Reuters report.
He had fled for safety 2 weeks ago when then-President Robert Mugabe fired him, his ousting sparking the military takeover that forced Mugabe to stand aside. After ruling Zimbabwe for 37 years, he resigned on Tuesday, standing down hours after his foes and former party allies united against him in impeachment proceedings, and 1 week since the military action that put him under house arrest. The news was greeted by celebration. People danced and sang in the streets well into the night. There's hope Mnangagwa can halt Zimbabwe's economic decline, deliver clean elections next year, and woo back bilateral support from Western states. But many in Zimbabwe are hostile towards a man who, like Mugabe, stands accused of participating in repression. He was the head of state security during a 1980s crackdown that killed 20,000 people. Mnangagwa issued a statement from hiding on Tuesday, calling on Zimbabweans to unite to rebuild the country. Now the Mugabe era is over, there's hope that might really happen.
That's news this evening. Remember, there is more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM. I am Marie Claire Williams. Have a good evening.